So welcome everybody to this workshop. Let me introduce myself. My name is Roshan. I am with Isha from last 4 years associated. I'm a working professional, working as a principal SRE with one of the reputed retail giants of the world. And training, teaching is one of my hobbies that I have picked up in my last 6 years of my career. So yes, I do love to share knowledge. So that's where I am with Isha, and I'm also associated with other institutes as well, like Edureka, Interipath. So this workshop we have scheduled to understand about the SRE, to roles and responsibility of a site reliability engineer. Why so? Because I'm coming up with a course with ISA. I'm going to introduce you to this course, all right, eventually, but we'll understand. So before I go about the topic, about the agenda, would like to understand. I know here a couple of friends here, because those I see people here, those who have joined my full-time courses, and they just want to know about more about the SRE part, so they have joined. Others, those who are meeting me for the first time, I like them to just introduce yourself, friends. What's your background? What's your motivation of joining this workshop? What you are expecting from this session? Please go ahead. I'm not going to pick names here, but those who are meeting me for the first time, please go ahead. Anybody?
Hi, I'm Uday. I'm
Yes.
a performance tester for 13 plus years of experience, and I'm trying to upskill myself towards SRE.
Sure, Uday. Welcome. So you are a performance engineer, 13 years experience, and you're looking for an SRE. Okay, sure. Perfect place to be. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Performance engineers do have an upper edge, I have realized, right? So do have an upper edge. I'll talk about that, how performance engineers have an upper hand in becoming a good SRE, right? We'll talk about it. Welcome. Good to know about you, Uday.
Thank
Yes. Others, please. Please go ahead, friends, one by one.
Yeah, this is Mohan. I'm also working as a performance engineer and right now practicing SRE concepts. Just
Okay, so you're already working as SRE somewhere, Mohan, or you're working as
no,
a
no, no,
performance
no.
engineer?
Performance engineer. That means uh, as a performance engineer, I'm working, but SRE, I want to migrate from SRE to
Got
performance
it.
engineer to SRE.
Got it. Got it. Perfect. So perfect place to be, and that's what we're gonna discuss in this workshop. Welcome, Mohan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, Next, please. I do see new names, so please go ahead. Anybody?
Hi, this is Ashok.
Hey, Ashok, welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working as a solution integrator.
Solution integrator,
Yeah, like Linux administrator.
Linux admin. So system admin, you can say, right?
Yes,
Linux
yes,
admin.
yes.
Perfect. Good. How long you have been working as a Linux admin?
Yeah, I'm very happy. I have
No, no,
been
how
with
long? How long you have
AWS
been? How
experience.
long you have been
How
working
long?
as a?
3.5 years.
Okay, you are a Linux admin from 3.5 years and looking to upskill your knowledge to
Yes,
understand about the SREs.
yes,
Yes.
correct.
So you must be doing
Yes,
installations, I would say patching work, upgrades, right? Those kind of
yes,
things
correct.
in your company.
Yes, 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 yes,
I
correct.
Sure, sure. Perfect. Yes.
Yeah,
See, I'll talk about that. I did mention that performance engineers have an upper edge, but those who do the deployment upgrades have also to do with SRE role. SRE role is it's a very dynamic role, and it depends on your roles and responsibility in the organization. It has very wide scope. So I'll come to that as well. That what it takes to be an SRE engineer and your current skill set, how it's gonna help you. We'll talk about it. Welcome, Ashok. Yes, next please.
thank you, sir.
Sure.
Okay, I will start. Yeah, my name is Silva Kumar. I'm a technical engineer, and my primary responsibility is building monitoring solutions. I will use many monitoring tools as part of my job.
Your name is Silva Kumar, right? You're Silva, right?
Yeah.
And your role is to monitoring. You're telling
Yeah.
monitoring expert. So you, which tool, which monitoring tool, observability tool you are working?
Splunk, Dynatrace, then Splunk observability. Yeah.
Wow. So you are working with multiple observability tool, Splunk,
Yep.
Dynatrace, right? And you basically configure, create dashboards, make sure you install agents, make sure. Yeah.
I will act like a system admin and business analyst. All kind of activities will come. Yeah.
So your primary responsibility, if I'm not wrong, from a monitoring perspective, I'm not talking about the business analyst perspective. Yes, you need to understand the business and use case, you need to discuss with other team members. But from the monitoring perspective, you do set up a Splunk dashboard, agents, create like panels, like those kind of stuff, right? In Splunk, in Dynatrace. Perfect. Good. Welcome. Yes, next please. I think Amrut, Amruta, you can go ahead. Anji, Gopi Raju. I think I think a couple of other folks. Yeah, anybody would like to go ahead or shall we continue now? Anybody? No one?
Hello, sir. Myself
Yes.
Gopi Raju.
Yes, Gopi Raju, please. Welcome, Gopi Raju. Please go ahead.
I'm a fresher, sir. 2024 passed out. From past 3 months, I'm taking AWS training. It is almost end. Now I'm searching for a jobs related to AWS.
So
I'm
where
expecting
you're taking AWS training?
from the Vinsys Private Limited.
Okay, so you are learning basically cloud, right? As a fresher, right? So yes, so just by knowing cloud would not be enough. You need to also understand installation part, deployment part, kind of a DevOps engineer. As a fresher, I would advise you you have two opportunity here. You can either take a cloud engineer role, support role, cloud support role, because you know you're learning cloud, right? Cloud support role. And let's say you spend some time there, try to get a job. I understand you don't have a job right now and you're searching. So this cloud support role will be very helpful. And then this cloud support role, yes, your AWS knowledge will be helpful, but you need to have other skills as well. You don't need to set up any dashboard, but you should have the understanding of monitoring dashboards, working with some monitoring tools, right? So that you can understand those things, right? So yes, we will talk about this, how the course is going to help you as well. And what is the role and responsibility of an SRE engineer? We will talk about that, Gopi Raju.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Okay. So anybody else who would like to go ahead? I'm not picking names. We will start now.
Yeah, let's start, please.
Okay. See, as an SRE engineer, friends, we need to understand a couple of things. What SRE engineer does? If I have to sum it up, right, in couple of sentences, very difficult to sum it up in couple of sentences, but anything to do with production reliability, I would simply put this. This word stands for site reliability engineer. What do reliability mean? Failures will happen, but how soon your system recovers? That's the definition of reliability mean. When do you say your application is reliable? Failures do occur. Even Google has a downtime in the past. Failures will occur. But how soon your system recovers from the failure is what reliability defines the reliability of an application. So as a site reliability engineer, we have to make sure that the production system, right? I hope everybody understands production. Right now, this is production. The Flipkart, which I'm showing you, this is the production for the Flipkart website. Flipkart is a company, they have this website. So whatever you see it here, it is in the production servers. They would have other kinds of servers also. They would have QA environment, servers in the QA environment, pre-prod could be environment, performance environment. They may have multiple environments, but this what the user gets to see, they have this in production environment. So as an SRE engineer, our responsibility is to make sure production is highly available. When I say highly available, when I hit the website, when the users hit the website, we should get the page response. It should not show you 500 status code, internal server error, page not found, kind of a output. We should get a valid response. So we see this, my system is highly available, right? Not just highly available would not be enough in current market, right? As a customer, our expectation is huge. If this application will perform slow, would we going to, do you think customers would be interested in placing orders here? If this, let's say this, I'm able to scroll down, and if I click on a particular if item and this product launch, if gets loaded slowly, it takes 2-3 minutes or 10 seconds to load for every page to do the order. We are struggling to do the order, right? And it takes a lot of time. We will not be interested as a user. We will not be interested. We want the page to be displayed in a just within a second, right? The complete loading part I'm telling. When you hit a website, a lot of things happen. You hit the web server. Web server hits the application server. Application server hits the database server. The information gets fetched from the database server, again back to the web server, user gets the output. All this communication, every round trip should be less than 1 second is the ideal kind of an SLA we have for the page load time. If it's API, kind of a retail website API, it should be in milliseconds, 2-digit, mostly milliseconds. Right? So my point is, it's not just highly available would do. We need to be highly performing also. So availability is not just only criteria. It should be highly performing also. Now, if my application is performing well, but from the security perspective, let's say we as a user, we tend to store a lot of records, a lot of information, not just Flipkart I'm talking about. Don't think I'm just talking about one website. Take Make My Trip website, any website. We tend to put a lot of details, our personal informations. Most of us put credit card details. We put personal information. If you have security vulnerability in the application, it will be compromised and a lot of information will be at risk. The security gets compromised. So highly performing, right? Availability, performance, right? They are good. Absolutely fine. We definitely need this. But security is very important. Security you should put at the top, in fact. No compromise on security. We don't want users' personal information like credit card details to be compromised. We trust these websites. These websites have to do the justice with our trust, right? We trust, we put the details, we think nothing will happen. But things may go wrong. There are intelligent people out there who are trying to hack the application, bring the application down. Lot of things. Most of us are performance engineers here. We know that we can simulate this website in some load testing tool. Make my trip, Flipkart, Amazon.com. We can simulate this. We can hit this with enormous load. Can we do that, friends? We all know how to do this. Load runner, Jmeter, Gatling. We do have a lot of options to hit this website with enormous 1000 TPS. Can we do that? Possible?
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely yes. We can do that. Applications should be able to manage such threats. We call it DDoS attack. We call it DDoS attack under the security. DDoS attack, distributed denial of service. DDoS attack. Part of security, not part of security, I would say. It's a normal thing, not exactly somebody is not going to make my application compromise. It's a kind of a threat to availability, I would say. DDoS attack. Because why people who do that? Competitors may do this, right? It hardly costs them. The usual load may not be that much, but somebody can do that. We need to have everything to be taken care. We do have an option, friends, just to let you know how to protect that. We do have an option of rate limiter. We do have an option. AWS cloud part do have some service like WAF and sealed. We have certain services like seal and WAF. Web application firewall and sealed to protect DDoS attack. Web application firewall we do have, and we do have an option of setting up rate limiter. We can limit the rate that we know. You can understand what is the usual pattern if a real user accesses the website. It is not going to create 1000 TPS from one IP, right? Source IP. So we need to understand, we need to set up this, that if the application is observing enormous load from one source IP, we should be able to automatically restrict that IP. We do have an option in NACL. Not sure how many of you know this. In AWS, we have something called security things, security group and NACL firewall thing. We do have an option of restricting certain IP in NACL, right? But this service is going to do the real work, understand things, and then they once they understood that traffic pattern doesn't look normal, automatically in the NACL there should be a deny service to be created with that IP. So everything is important. So we talked about security, utmost priority. We cannot let our personal information, credit card information to be compromised for any website. We do trust a lot of websites. Availability, if the application is not available, we are not going to be interested, right? The credibility of the application will be lost. Performance. Now, if we get everything, but at the huge cost, and let's say company Flipkart, you are getting everything. Let's say the architect in Flipkart or MakeMyTrip has taken care of everything, but the cost is such enormous that company not making profit what the company management was expecting. Then it doesn't make sense. The companies have there to make profits, right? MakeMyTrip, Flipkart, they need to make profits. The solutions cannot be that expensive. So cost optimization. That's going to be always with every company. This is always a challenge. So friends, security, availability, performance, and cost optimization. I'll put this generic. So when I say the SRE engineers, they are the gatekeepers. They are the ones who are responsible for looking into the production issues. See what matters. You guys are performance engineers. Most of you mentioned Linux admin, right? Monitoring expert here. Now, most of the QA engineers, they don't work in production systems. We work on non-production environments. And we try to simulate mostly the role of a performance engineers. I'll talk about testers and engineers. We try to simulate production load. We try to understand critical use cases, try to script it, try to create load, and we see whether the application, what infra would be required, what infra would be required, or what is the problem. We do the load test and we try to understand a lot of things, not just the infra part, a lot of things, whether the application is scalable or not, scales up or not, or do we have some contention? Contention could be a lot of places. Whether the infrastructure that is being provisioned is enough or not, or what would be the right infrastructure in production for that load. Let's say in production you are expecting 1000 TPS, right? So you do test based on the current infra, whatever the environment that you are testing. Let's say you are working on some environment, let's say performance environment. I would say I request everybody to be on mute. You can unmute yourself and ask questions. I don't have any problem, but please be on mute. Okay, so let's say you are working on some application, let's say environment, let's say performance environment or QA environment. The environment may not be scaled up as production because not many companies do that. Let's say the environment is 50%, the infrastructure I'm talking about, right? Environment infra I'm talking about is 50% or 25% of prod. Obviously, we cannot expect this in this infrastructure to support my 1000 TPS, which we expect in prod. So I would test accordingly. I would test with 250 TPS and try to understand whether this much infra is enough or not, or what is the max, what max we could achieve with this infra, what max load could be achieved. We'll start our testing because considering the load pattern and the infra ratio, we would start with 250 TPS and we'll try to load the system and try to see whether we're able to scale it up or not, or where is the contention. We have a lot of things to look at. The database, the app, all the components. See, the first thing as a performance engineer or an SRE engineer or any technical person working in the team, in the company, we should know the architecture of the application that you're working on and the flow, request flow. If you're not doing it, I'm not sure, like these are very critical things. Without this knowledge, we would not be able to troubleshoot things, friends. Architecture, high level. I'm not telling them deep dive, right? High level. What are the components we have? How the request flow, I would say. How the request is flowing. Okay, the request comes. I'll just take a bit diversion and we'll come back here. So what happens, friends, when you hit a website? When I hit a website, make my tip Flipkart, what happens? Where do you hit first? What do you think? I know those who are with me in one of the batches, you may answer this question. I'm not asking to you. Others, please try. So just I'm letting you know, there are people here in this group who have joined my full-time courses and they have joined here to learn more about this here, or what we are going to talk about. So they may answer this question. So what happens, friends? I would like to know from these people, those who are joining for the first time, what happens when you hit a website? Where do you hit? Let's say you hit flipkart.com.
The load balancer?
Yeah, you will hit eventually, but not directly, right?
DNS?
Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right about that. So when you hit Amazon, Flipkart, basically those are domain name, right? So from the browser, when you make a request to any website, www. Let's say makemytrip.com, you first hit the domain server, because Make My Trip is not the load balancer, it's just a domain. You can also purchase a domain. The domain server lets the browser know where is the real server, because in domain server we need to configure the load balancer detail and where the request needs to be routed. If we don't mention in the domain from wherever we have purchased domain, if we don't do the routing, it will not know. We have to do the routing. Then eventually the domain server, we get the redirection that where is the load balancer. Then eventually my request hits the load balancer. This is my load balancer, which we have configured it. And then eventually, depending on your web server, app server, database server, the request would go. So you need to have that basic understanding, friends, how the request is flowing. This is a very critical thing. I'm just giving a generic thing. Okay, you may have some other components, Kafka or other server. I don't know. I cannot generalize this, but I'm just telling you a generic thing. 3-tier application generic thing. So you need to understand this flow. Then only you can troubleshoot things. You need to look at the lot of metrics. So we do use monitoring tool, observability tool. Why do we do that? To know the health of the server, to check status code, to check logs, errors in the logs, to check the response time, to check the throughput, right? To check the, like, we need to know these details to troubleshoot things. Where could be the issue? The logs, the error, the logs are the very important thing. They tell a lot of information. If you look at the log, so we should know where to check the log, right? The person who is doing the monitoring setup in your company can help you understand that. Where is the log would be seen? What is the observability tool? The logs tell you a lot of story. Where could be the problem? And depending on the logs, you would see that it's a database. It's what is the lead we get from the logs. The lead we get from the status code, the log, the traces. Those are very critical information, right? So from the application architecture level, and the request flow is must for any technical person to troubleshoot and find the root cause. Any technical people. I would name here performance engineers, whoever the SRE engineers, they are the must to know this. If you're expected to troubleshoot issues in production, and if you don't know these two things, then you are not gonna be doing the real analysis, because you would not know the flow, how the request is flowing, what is the downstream effect. Because if you may see the issue is on the web server and you are looking into this, but web server, you have not checked the logs. Web server tells about the complaining about a database thing, right? The issue could be on the database connection and you're looking into web server. It's not going to help you, right? So you need to understand the downstream services, because usually the downstream services has issues. We just see the outcome in upstream services, but the issue lies in the downstream most of the time. So we need to understand this. So these two things are must. So as an SRE engineer, we are supposed to make sure the production is highly available, secure, performing, and with cost optimization as well. I don't want the cost to be a hinder, right? A lot of, cost will be there. Infrastructure is there, cost will be there. But we should see where it could be optimized. right? We should always see that. So these are the responsibilities, I would say, overall, friends. Now, to take care of these things, lot of other skills are required. When I say the security, you need to know the how you need to work. See, I'm not telling you need to be a security expert. Your company would have a security team. They may be doing some sort of audit, SOC 2 audit, and some other audit criteria your company may have. There may be a security team. So you need to work with them. You should know the basic understanding of security, how at least the cloud security, because nowadays everything is in the cloud, at least from the cloud security perspective, this would be good. So if I show you, let's say AWS console, friends, if I just go to the security, I'm in the cloud. If I just go to the security part, we have a lot of services here. You should have a basic understanding of what is WAF and sealed, what is IAM does, what a guard duty does, certificate manager, what it does, right? I'm not telling you should have every knowledge. If you know everything, you will be part of security team. Basic understanding that so that you can talk confidently to these people, to your security team members. They are the experts. They are the ones who are going to do things. AWS security incident response. So we have a lot of services here. Depending on the company, your company may use like 4, 5, 8 services, depending on your company. We do have a lot of AWS gives a lot of options, but we need to definitely know what is WAF and SEAL does, at least what it does, right? We should definitely know the IAM, the key management service. We store the keys basically. The IAM, the guard duty, I'm just whatever I'm highlighting is gonna be just like you have to know this. What an inspector does. So that if your company is using an inspector, right, you should be able to understand, okay, things have been taken care. So security is very important, right? And not just the services security, the security could be done on the code part as well. If your security team will do the code scan. You are, as an SRE engineer, you are not responsible for doing the code scan because the issue vulnerability could be at the code level. Let's say in the code somebody has used password, hard coded things. Right? They have to fix this. They cannot use password in the code. It is vulnerable. So they with every release, they do the code scan. Security team would gonna do that. You should be able to understand the code scan, should be able to drive it, whether the issues, whatever was highlighted in the code scan has got fixed or not by the developer. Because you are the gatekeeper, friends. If a code is going to production, you should be knowing whether the code scan was done or not. Where is the report? You as an SRE engineer, you will not be doing performance testing. You'll be asking performance testing team. Have you guys done the performance test analysis? Most of you are performance engineers going to be SRE engineers. Yes. So you know how to look into the report. So you need to drive things as an SRE engineer. You are responsible for production reliability. I'm talking about a senior person responsibility, not a junior person responsibility. So you are responsible. If let's say you are a principal SRE engineer or a senior SRE engineer, the company is going to ask you, is everything okay with production? Do you see issues somewhere with the deployment? So you may want to check these reports, security reports, code scan reports for every release from the security team, because they are the ones, again, it's an automated process. They do the code scan. They use some commercial tools like Fortify. We have a lot of other tools. They do the code scan and they get the report. right? Whether from the application code perspective, do we have a vulnerability? Not from the security, cloud security is from the infrastructure. Understand the difference. What we are doing here is from the infrastructure perspective. The code issues is different than code security issues is different than these services, right? So we should also have an understanding of basic services, core security services, and we should be able to understand the report. We should be able to drive things up. When we see at the report, let's say during the production deployment, you are the gatekeeper as an SRE engineer. And if you think the issues that the security team highlighted has not been taken care, would you be allowing the code to go to production, friends? You guys can understand my point?
Answer is no.
Right? We need to understand, take a call why this was not fixed by the development team. Was that not critical? What will? So a lot of discussions. You cannot deploy. Let them take waiver from senior person. As a SRE engineer, I'm not going to approve it. If somebody senior going to ask me why you're not approving it, here this is the reason. You take a call, right? If you think the code should go to production, okay, you take a call. I'm not responsible, then don't ask me later why this happened. So security is very important. Now, from the availability perspective, we have a lot of measures. Again, from the availability perspective, friends, a lot of skill sets are required. We should understand the deployment part. We don't need to worry about the coding part and all, code part, because QA team is there to test the code. Performance engineers are there to check the performance of the code. From the availability perspective, we need to look from the infrastructure perspective. Do you see single point of failure? Do you see, like, you should have the cloud knowledge? Now I'll talk about the cloud knowledge. I'm going to assume you guys know it. So we have a lot of ways to be highly available from the infrastructure perspective. We can go with multi-node deployment. We should not have a single point of failure for any application. We should use multi-AZ deployment. If required, we should also go for multi-region deployment. Application like NASDAQ, friends. NASDAQ, US exchange, NSC, where in the secondary market, all the stock, all the transactions happen. Do you think those applications can afford to have a downtime even for a minute? Do you think so? Can they afford? You understand my question? NASDAQ, NSC, US exchange is the NASDAQ. NSC is National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange, BSC, our India. They cannot afford to have a downtime, because if they have a downtime, what would happen to the transactions? Those was done millions in 1 minute. So many people do transactions. Millions of transactions will be there in 1 minute. These applications cannot afford to have downtime. Okay, if Amazon.com, Flipkart was down for a minute, okay, orders may fail. Okay, it's again not acceptable. Orders may fail. A lot of other issues will happen. But NASDAQ, NSE, we cannot afford a lot of such a revenue loss. Payment transactions here and there, like messy. So availability is a very important thing, and we should take care from the infrastructure perspective. We should be able to know where, if the problem is happening in production, if you're getting alert, we do set up alerts, right? We do set up, as an SRE engineer, we do need to take care of setting up dashboards, all the monitoring dashboards, alerting, right way of alerting, so that if issues is happening, we should know in advance and we can take some corrective measures. because they're all related to availability. If you are seeing, if you're getting a high CPU, right, alerts, or let's say pods restarting because of out of memory, continuous alerts you're getting, and you're not paying attention to that, eventually you're not going to have downtime. We need to understand what is Kubernetes, the power of Kubernetes. We need to understand here. A lot of companies, they have adopted Kubernetes. Okay, I request everybody to be on mute. Okay, I'm not going to ask again. Friends, am I audible? I think I lost for you a couple of minutes. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now.
Okay, sure. See, now availability is a topic in itself. A lot of things. I told you about the security to some extent. From the availability, from the infrastructure side, you need to take care. You need to leverage the technology like Kubernetes. Now, the important technology like Kubernetes can avoid downtime. It has that capability of auto healing. If you deploy your application in a pod, Kubernetes does have a capability that it can do auto healing of pod. Even if pod is getting out of memory every time, frequent out of memory, it will keep on creating new pod. It will not be a threat to the reliability, to the availability. At least you can go, you would have time to figure it out or troubleshoot why it's happening. We should rely on the blue-green deployment. We should have, for critical applications, we should have two environments. We call it blue-green deployment. If you are getting an issue in the primary cluster, right, you should be taking action in redirecting your code to the green cluster, to other cluster where things are fine. Because let's say you have done a recent deployment and you could not catch the issue during the deployment. After 8 hours, you are encountering the issue. And let's say you are sensing it that it is going to create a problem. As an SRE engineer, our responsibility is to make sure availability is there. So if we are not able to figure out what could be done immediately, we should be able to switch the traffic to another cluster, which is a healthy cluster. Blue-green deployment, very famous term we have. I'm not sure how many of you know. I believe some of you would know this. Few of you. Do we know this, friends? Blue-green deployment.
Yes, sir.
Right. We should leverage the powerful container orchestration engine like Kubernetes. From the infrastructure perspective, we should always try to avoid single point of failure. So a lot of measures we can do here, friends. So we should know these kind of things. Again, the cloud knowledge will be playing an important role here. Because the infrastructure is very important. We don't want infra issues, high CPU, high memory on the infra side. It could be the code may be doing it, right? If the code is not written, let's say, efficiently, performance engineers know that. If the code is written, like, there could be performance issues, could be because of the infra or because of the code or SQL query. Mostly these three things. code, infra, query. Most of the issues, 95%, 90%, 90 to 95% of the performance issues revolve around this. Friends, am I right? Either the issue is with the code or with the infra or with the query. Yes or no? I'm going to ask this question to all the performance engineers in this group. Friends, do we agree?
Yes.
90% of the case. Eventually, the issue is where.
Yes.
So we do a lot of things to make sure the code is correct. If the code has been written poorly, friends, developers have not written the code efficiently, taking a lot of time to execute. If they have not written the good query, SQL queries, doing select star, and we have a lot of millions of records in a table. Gone is the case, right? It's going to take time. And we should understand what is indexing, what is sorting to optimize at least from the database perspective. You should understand what to check in a database. And again, depends on what database. It's a MySQL database, it's a SQL, it's a relational database or non-relational database. Where it is deployed, if deployed in AWS, in RDS, or in MongoDB Atlas. So we should be able to understand, okay, so we have these are the metrics. We should check the connections. Do we see an immense connection during the issues? Connection getting increased? Do we have right infra sized for the database or for the server? And if the code has the issues, we would know if it's out of memory is happening. We should take the heap dump, analyze it. If it's a thread contention is happening, take the thread dump, analyze it, let the developer know, boss, here is the issues. Please fix it. Your code is causing this problem here. So whatever I am writing here, all are the responsibilities of an SRE engineer, friends. From the security perspective, the knowledge part. I'm not telling you to be a security expert. Please be clear. I'm not asking you to be part of security team. The security team is there. They are doing that. You're not being asked to do the code scan or have that skill with you. No. You should have a basic understanding of security. You should understand security is the most important thing. That understanding has to be there. Clarity in your mind as an SRE engineer. You may not know all the things, but that clarity has to be there. You cannot compromise on security. Now, from the availability perspective, lot of things as an SRE engineer you can learn, do things here. From the availability perspective, infrastructure part, you do own the infrastructure. You can see the infrastructure. You should have Kubernetes. You can see whether your application is most of the application you are going to. Everybody knows that to avoid single point of failure, you should use Kubernetes, microservices based architecture, use containers, use blue-green deployment. But you're gonna make sure these things are in place. From the performance report, you are not going to run that test as an SRE engineer, right? You may have a team, performance team reporting to you, or there's a dedicated performance team who will be doing the test. You can ask what they have done, what are they running. If you are on top of things, if you're a performance engineer, you can drive this, right? Discussion here. Let's say there are some performance members, there are some junior folks. You can drive these things. Okay, what are you testing? We observe this issue in production. Please create tickets for that, right? Performance issues. We do create issues and we can look for their reports. Have you taken care of these things or not, right? We can look into that. Cost optimization. Again, we should have the understanding of the infrastructure, how to optimize the cost. So these are the responsibilities, friends, of the SRE engineer. So to sum it up, we should know to set up monitoring dashboards. We should know how to install, set up monitoring tool, create dashboards, do how to do the right alerting, alerting is a very important skill set. So if I just sum it up, let's say skill set, if I just want to sum it up, I would prefer, friends, as an SRE engineer, you need to be very good at troubleshooting. Now, it's a very generic term, but you should understand, because troubleshooting is an art, okay? Science and art combined. And you cannot get this overnight. Even if I try to give you a couple of scenarios, okay, you'll be okay. Yes, Roshan, you're right. But you have to make your hands dirty. You have to face the issues, because you may encounter different issues. What I'm going to tell you. Your use case, your situation, your scenario would be different. You have to experience it to troubleshoot things. And here is what I see. Good performance engineers do have an upper edge, because they do try to simulate production load. They do try to understand where is the issue. They do try to understand where is the bottleneck. They do a lot of stuff here. A good performance engineers who is into troubleshooting, who is doing real engineering work, who is trying to understand the flow architecture, he has the understanding, has the upper edge. But if you're just running performance load test and just submitting report, I'm not sure how much troubleshooting you have done. But yes, there are performance engineers who have just run the load test and gonna just let you know the results, right? But I'm talking about who has done troubleshooting. So performance engineers do have an upper role. So from the troubleshooting perspective. On the observability perspective, friends, on the monitoring, you should have at least one tool in your right, so that you have set up monitoring tool, understanding of that, and the alerting, dashboards creation, and alerting. How to set up right alerting? Alerting is an art again. If you guys know, for let's say heap memory, you guys know about the heap memory, Java heap memory, right? I'm not sure how many of all of you would know. Heap memory follows a pattern. It goes up, heap usage. When the GC happens, it recovers, comes down. If you put an alert, let's say at 60%, what's going to happen, friends? Send me an alert when the heap usage goes above 60%. What's going to happen? 60% of the total heap. What's going to happen, friends? In guesses? Your inbox is going to get flooded. Yes or no? Because it has a pattern. It will go till 80%, 90% of every time, every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes, depending on the load. It comes back. It is not an issue. So you should know this. What is heap memory, the pattern of it? Where is the threshold? Where should you have the threshold? If you put 91%, 92% makes sense. Because most of the time it's gonna maximum gonna go till 90%. You can have 93, 94%. You can look at the pattern and take a call. What should be the threshold value? If you put CPU, send me an alert when CPU crosses 60%. Are you sure when the CPU goes 60%, you're gonna get the issue? No, 60% is fine, right? I'll be bothered when CPU is growing 60, 65, 80, 85, and now I'll be alert. So we can set up some sort of priority, P1, P2. We can set up some alerts, but we can give a priority. Okay, if CPU is crossing 70%, okay, it is still P2. I'm not gonna be panicking. Or P3, I'll be only getting panicked in P2 or P1. P1 is highest priority. When a CPU goes over 80%, I'll be alert. It's going to be P2. But my CPU, if my pattern like that, the CPU has never crossed 80%. And if your CPU is spiking 85%, then it's a P1 for me. So it depends on your application. Okay, I cannot generalize this. You need to understand your behavior and take a call. Yes, it could be the same stuff, but alert priority is very important. So setting up alert dashboards, alerting is very important skill sets being an SRE engineer. When I say troubleshooting part, understanding of architecture, right? The AWS knowledge, all these things come, right? The basic analysis, a lot of things has come here. I just summarize this in one word, troubleshoot, but a lot of things have come here. So whatever I was just telling you here, in all those things, availability and performance, just put all the things in troubleshooting. All the knowledge which we have talked about is come here. Setup monitoring tool. One of the other important skill sets is from the deployment perspective. See, DevOps engineers is going to deploy things. We need to, as an SRE engineer, we need to take it over from them. So if you don't understand the deployment, application deployment, can we figure out the issues with application deployment, friends? If you don't understand the deployment methods, deployment strategies? Well, if you don't understand this, the DevOps engineers are the ones who is deploying the application. But if you don't understand what is rolling update, what is blue green, what is canary deployment, if you don't understand these things, we are not going to troubleshoot issues, because if the issues happens, we need to roll back also. We should understand how the deployment is working and how to roll back my changes. So knowledge of deployment is very important. How things are getting deployed. So first, second, friends, in this first, lot of things has come basically. Third, and the fourth is automation, friends. These are the skill sets. Because why automation? In production, a lot of requests can come from customers, or you may have to, there could be issues on the field that you need to automate something quickly. Let's say you need to do the backup of database, or the users have asked some informations. So automation is going to be very helpful. Particularly, automation could be from the infrastructure automation, like using Terraform, infrastructure as code, IAC, Terraform as code, or it could be a shell scripting you need to do, or some Python scripting, shell or Python scripting, some scripting you should do to just do the automation part. So these are the, if you have to sum it up, friends, I'll put this here, right? And the knowledge here from the security perspective, from the availability perspective, from the performance perspective, and cost optimization perspective. Put these four here. So you need to take care of these four things. So this is the roles and responsibility, friends. SRE is why so many roles are there in SREs, because you don't find people with these skills, because they take responsibility, friends. It's a challenging role. First of all, let me tell you, if you think being an SRE, if you have a vision that you want to work in a very time frame manner, I go to office 10 o'clock, starts my time at 9:30, logs up by 6:30. SRE may not be the right choice. You will get flexibility working in a team, but you may need to address P1 issues, P2 issues at any point in time. You may need to drive things. You may need to troubleshoot things. That's one of the challenging role. Understand this, because you are into production. The company stake is here. If something is wrong in Flipkart, its company's reputation. If this application is not loading up or loading slow, it is a real problem for the company. Real problem. So you need to have that mindset that, oh yes, it is urgent. you have to prioritize this over your personal commitments also. So you need to make sure you have the right team if you have certain personal. But what I'm trying to say, the mindset should be clear. That's SRE engineer. The mindset is very important. The mindset, you should understand it's a critical thing. Then you can plan your things. If you have some certain personal thing, also you can ask your team member to fill in for you. You can bring them up to speed. But when you join a company for the first year, you need to understand everything. You like taking off is a secondary part in your checklist. When you have got stable, understand things, you can bring few team members up to speed so they can fill in for you. A lot of things would happen. You can manage things around. Challenging role, rewarding role. In India, if you are a good performer, if you're a good SRE engineer, you can get up to any salary, friends, up to starting from 30 lakhs to 60 lakhs. Good SRE engineers. Fixed part, I'm telling you, right? So a lot of in US, I don't know, it could be 150, 100 USD, friends, 200,000, like 200K USD per year. Very rewarding, challenging, lot of skills would be required. It's combination of a lot of skills. Yeah, I wanted to cover this. Any questions? I can take it up for you, friends. Anybody has any question? I'm going to talk about the course which I have coming up. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Surendra.
Yeah, thank you. So you said an SRE engineer can understand architecture high level, right? So let's say we have one e-commerce application is a modernized one which has a microservices where it has placed upstream and downstream various components. Can you explain one? Let's say this is the makemytrip.com. It's a modern. I think it has multiple APIs and microservices, right? So say sometimes people get confused upstream and downstream. The response, which area? Okay, this is not my area. Just go to check with them upstream, downstream. To overall understand the architecture, very difficult, right? So if you can correlate one application, that's going to be helpful to understand upstream and downstream.
When I say downstream, okay, let me check if they have it. This you're making a request from the client. It's hitting the server. So this is the downstream database. Your server is writing the database. That's the downstream. Let me check if you have some diagram somewhere. I'm gonna.
Now, let's say some user logs in and then try to log in. From that point, like comes from the, like you said, DNS and domain, load balancers. So many components going to come, right? So let's say they complete the entire processor, some login and goes to the order process and then complete logout. Something like one critical flow for any application. So where does e-commerce? Okay.
Look at this. So if we just show you this, okay. So look at this. So user incognito. So they're using all AWS services. Okay. In this diagram, the guy, whoever this video is, I don't know. So the guy is trying to use all AWS services and trying to build one e-commerce website. And the guy has used Cognito. This is for the sign in, login, like a federation. So you can have incognito window using this service. We have this. Okay, you have this service called Cognito. Okay, consumer identity management and AWS credentials for federated identities. You have this service. You using this Cognito, you can log in. You can put the details here and you can use it. So this service, we use it secure identity and access management for the apps. So we can do that. So you might have seen, right? You go to any website and I use Gmail. You don't need to create username. You don't need to register but you can log into that website using your Gmail credentials. It happens. Have you observed this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So
SSO, right? Yeah,
SSO,
yeah,
right? So it is like that. Okay. So the guy is trying to do this here, and they're using CloudFront. CloudFront we use it for the CDN activity, content delivery network. Again, you need to understand content delivery network. I'm going to assume you understand for the caching part. Let's say when you hit a website which is far from your lab. Let's say you are in India, you're hitting a website in US. So obviously the network packet has to travel all the way to US. It will come back. So there will be a delay in the trip time also, right? Network latency. If you want to reduce that, you can use some CloudFront services so that the details will be cached local to your location. It will help you increase the latency, decrease the latency. It's gonna reduce the response time if you use CloudFront. Now the request has come to API gateway. Let's say this API gateway hosts all the APIs that you have. You can hit microservice also directly here. Think like microservice. You're hitting some Kubernetes pods, Kubernetes service, and then gonna forward your request to a particular service. So this is the microservice. Let's say you're hitting the service, Kubernetes service. Think like it's a cluster IP gateway,
right,
which hosts all the APIs. When you hit this, the request goes to this service. Depending on what you hit, your request will be routed to that particular service. Could be inventory service, which has the inventory details. Which, let's say when I search for a product, we check whether do we have that inventory of that product or not, right? I was checking some time back. So we got some page. When I clicked on this, we got some page that displayed that yes, we do have inventory. If not, they could have displayed use or the product not available, right? So they in the inventory service they do have some APIs which they call, because the database has the details whether which this product is available or not with them. So in the inventory service, in the database, in the inventory service, they would have the details about this product. If this product has got finished, you might have seen, right? You are going to a page and they're displaying not found. Or if I give a PIN code, it may display that product not found, right? So they call. Yes, Uday, you have a question, similar question, or you have another a different question, Uday. You have raised your hand.
Different question, Roshan. You can.
So can I address this first, or you want to?
Yes, please. Yeah, go on.
So you can write some PIN code, you can check. So again, an API call would be made to the inventory service and to check whether the product is available near the location or not, near the PIN code. If not available, you may get a display that not available, right? It can happen if I search this product, let's say in Arunachal Pradesh or somewhere which I know may not be available, or in some village, it may display this product is not available, right? So it is doing some, but right now if you in a city somewhere, it may display that no, this product is available. So it depends on whatever the information is fed to the database. Inventory service is going to create an API and it will talk to the database. Let's say here they're using DynamoDB database. So all the details so inventory service calling the database, checking the details, and if inventory is there, we usually are getting displayed. Now, if I'm trying to do a new order, right? So it depends on the microservice. If I'm doing a new order, so if inventory has been checked, all good. So let's say I'm trying to place a new order. Could be an order service. I may call some other API to create the order. This API is going to place my order, put the information in some database, right? Could be also stored in some S3. So normal flow, right? That's how it works. So you need to understand the flow is what I'm trying to tell you.
So yeah, so here, like, where is this part of upstream? I mean, upstream, I can say user. Correct me if I'm wrong. User logins.
But what I could not follow. What is you use the word upstream?
Upstream and downstream systems.
Upstream. So upstream is what? So for this service, what is downstream? Database.
Okay.
For this service, it's relative. Upstream and downstream is relative thing. Upstream to which service? For this service, upstream is what? My API gateway. What is downstream? DynamoDB.
Okay. So and also people can call out other apps also, right? Like as a remote service or something like that.
It depends on the architecture, right?
Right.
It all depends on how with this service may call some other service, right? To get some information. So it depends on the architecture. Totally depends how the solution is being designed. So that's why the understanding is important.
Right.
Let's say this service calls this service, other service calls another service, and let's say this service calls a service which has the bottleneck. Let's say this infra has the issue or the performance issue is with the service. It's going to reflect everywhere, right? So because one of the downstream has performance issues, the entire performance has degraded. So we need to go and address, we need to pinpoint, troubleshoot, and try to figure out that issue.
So being SRE engineer, we should know all this and coverage aspect, right? Like you said, all components should be up and running, and there is no outage in these all the key components.
All are linked, right? So yes, we do need to set up an uptime alert for all the service. We should have an uptime metrics. Uptime is very important metric. Uptime, very important, right? Uptime. Any monitoring tool has this kind of a service, uptime. Very important. So for every service, we'll create this uptime and it will display a consolidated view, which service do we have uptime issues, right? So yeah, heartbeat. We use heartbeat agent.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you. I'm clear. Thank you.
Sure, Uday. Okay. Yeah. Uday, go ahead.
See, this SRE is very broad topic, and it has various categories in terms of networking, operating systems, cloud, containers, tools, and things like that. For a experienced performance testers and engineers like me, for example, more than 13 years of experience, and if I wanted to upskill myself and switch to get a job in SRE, as in a background of very good performance testing and engineering knowledge, where exactly our focus should be in order to get a SRE job. Because the reason I ask this question is SRE has a very broad topic, and they are calling in many companies, even the SRE, they are saying that SRE engineers, and they are doing the DevOps work. So some of the companies they do not have an organized SRE roles for the SRE engineers that I am aware of. So when it comes to logging, right, monitoring and logging, like infrastructure monitoring, for example, Prometheus tool, and application monitoring, we have tools like Agar, New Relic, and things like that. So yes, so we set alerting, monitoring, and logging stuff, and most of the companies they are working on a rotation basis, 24/7, like you said, based on the priority incidents in production they are working. So my question is, since SRE topic is very broad and many companies they are segregating the SRE engineers into tool side, monitoring, logging side, networking side, and things like that, where do you think the focus we need to put more in order to get a SRE job?
See, we need to understand this team structure. Okay, so if you talk from the ideal world perspective, how an SRE team should look like. See, there are a lot of companies where production reliability is not that significant. Can you go on mute? I'm getting echo. So see, there could be companies where these DevOps and SRE team could be same. You need to understand this. There's a thin line, because as a DevOps engineer, if you ask the responsibility, DevOps engineer would tell you, my responsibility is to deploy the code. My responsibility is to set up monitoring dashboard. My responsibility to do the infrastructure provisioning. These three things that we just talked about, we do have an overlap here. because as an SRE engineer, I just mentioned that we need to set up monitoring tool, alerting, dashboard thing we need to do. And I just told you from the infrastructure provisioning also that as an SRE engineer we should do. It's mapping. Only thing that we skipped is the deployment part, but we have not totally skipped. I told you we should be aware of the deployment strategies. So if you look at this, whatever I have listed here, we are already covering DevOps part, right? The deployment part, the three things. As a DevOps engineer, you have three responsibilities: deployment in various environments. You would deploy in development, you will deploy in QA, you will deploy in pre-prod, you will deploy in prod event, like after all the quality verifications. As an SRE engineer, you may not be doing that full thing, right? Deployment work, because if there are a lot of deployments happening in the company on a weekly, daily basis, you need a full-fledged dedicated. So you maybe allocate few people to do the deployment work. As a big DevOps SRE team, you can have a small team within that. They're taking care of deployment part. Deployment of the code which developers are writing in various environments. It could be developer environment, it could be QA environment, it could be performance environment, pre-prod, staging, prod eventually. So we do have a lot of overlap. Understand this with the DevOps engineer. DevOps engineer, what they don't do, they are from the role perspective, right? I'm not talking if a company has some deviations from this, right? The company may have. If the company does not have a full-fledged SRE team because they don't think they need an SRE team for them. Even if the application is down for let's say 50 minutes, they are not bothered because they're not there. It's not their main thing. But for a Flipkart, which the entire thing depends on the website, they cannot do this kind of thing, right? They would have a complete SRE team with structured L1, L2, L3 role. When I say L1, level 1, level 2, level 3. L1 are the ones who works in shifts basis. Production shift basis they work. 24/7 on a rotational basis. They join and they look for the alerts. And if they think something is critical based on the priority, they can, if based on the SOP, standard operating procedures that a senior SRE team member has written, or they have the knowledge, whatever they have, if they can fix it, it's within the SOP's guidelines, standard operating procedures. If this alert happens, what to do? We need to document this. As a senior SRE member, we cannot, for small issues, we don't want L2 to get involved. L2 is what we are trying to talk about here. L2 engineers. Troubleshooting part, right? We don't want all the issues to come to L2. Why? Because L1s are not that technical. We call it support engineers, right? Cloud support engineers, you can call them as L1. They're working in shift. They know how to. I was trying to give you one to Gopi Raju. I was trying to tell that cloud support, try to be cloud support. Basically, I was talking about L1 role here. Because when you start your career, you can be good with L1 because you are starting your career. You don't have a lot of technical expertise with you. You can be in a B, and your depends on your. You can be because you can fit for the L1. You can, because there are some senior to you. L2 engineers are senior. So these are the ones I'm talking about. This could be staff SRE or senior staff or principal SRE. Or senior, so you can have in L2 also, we can have different people, senior SRE, right? Or staff SRE or senior staff or principal. You can have a team here, senior or principal engineer. L2. Now L3 are the subject matter expertise, SMEs, could be experts experts, could be development. See, we are as L2 engineers, we are going to troubleshoot things. We can troubleshoot to a certain extent. If we L2 engineers have not written the code, L2 SRE engineers, L2 engineers have not tested things. So eventually to fix things, it will go to SMEs. SMEs are who are the ones? The developers. Right? The architects, the real architects. Eventually it will come to them. But L2 has to drive the things here. So you have to understand which role you are, where you are. They work in shifts. L2 may not be working in shifts. Sometimes you have to stretch things. That's why when I say that you may need to be available at odd hours. Where to focus, your question was. So as I told you, where do you want to fit in? If you want to fit in L2, all I told you. So you need to understand DevOps role, the deployment perspective. You may not be deploying things, but you should understand the deployment part, how things are getting deployed. Now everything is automated fashion. They have a pipeline using Jenkins, CI/CD we call it. Code developers upload the code to GitHub, things gets automated deployed. So there a lot of automation has done. So you can do some automation, but you should understand the deployment strategies because you should have the control over the rollback. Because if you see some issues during the day of deployment, you need to be in the call. And you need to monitor things for a day or two, with a lot of care. So if you see some issue, you should know how to roll back things. You should have that knowledge. So deployment strategies, how to roll back in Kubernetes, kubectl. So like a lot of details, you should know that. Automation part, yes, you should know. So where to focus? So you should focus on troubleshooting, and the first and two are the must things. Okay. If you ask me, if you want to become an L2 engineer and where to focus, first two things. Because as a performance engineer, you are good at troubleshooting, I would say. If you're good at alerting also, perfect. If you have covered one or two, you're good with that. Try to understand deployment strategy, how things get deployed, how Jenkins work, how do you create CI/CD pipeline. And you need to be focused. So this is what the role of an L2 looks like. Uday, I hope you got some perspective.
Yes, that's really helpful. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
So L2, one just a quick follow up on that. So so if I wanted L2, if I pick up my level myself, and I believe I could fit into L2 because I have good performance testing process into CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins and Azure DevOps. I believe I could get fit into L2. So that doesn't mean I need to have experience with L1 or something like that, right?
See, L1 is not L1 is the monitoring thing, working on the alerts, right? Like those are the L1 skills. How to check alerts, to pay attention to alerts, right? You are not working in the shift, right? So you should be focused on more challenging role. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So Roshan, I have one more. See, let's say we being a performance engineer, we start our work in the like when it comes to the non-prod environment, we'll start our load test and all. So what is expected from SRE from day one onwards? We need to work with like development team and understand their code, or where the development and SRE
See,
collaboration starts.
nobody, first of all, nobody cares. It's your day one in production systems, first of all.
Right.
Don't expect any hand holding, right? You are applying as an SRE engineer. you have got what you wanted from the salary perspective, right? You need to start working. So don't think I have never worked on production. If you tell this in the interview, you are not going to get recruited, because it's a mindset. Yeah, I'm coming to it. I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm just telling about the mindset, right? Because you started with that. So I'm answering in the same fashion, right? So you never ever reveal that you're uncomfortable. You have never experienced the challenges of production systems. Don't reveal such things. Because when you reveal this as a senior engineer, you will not get recruited. Because that's the mindset has to be clear, that you need to prioritize issues. Yes, what would you do? You need to do the same stuff what you would be doing when you're doing performance monitoring, I would say. You need to make sure you understand the application architecture. You have all the dashboards. You have captured all the metrics, review all the alerts being triggered, fix if the alerts are noisy, right? Which I was telling, fix those things. Start fixing those things. Start looking into the architectural flow. Anyway, if you know that already, start looking into the metrics. Do you have metrics for everything, or you think some gaps there? You review the alerting part. Are you getting like alerts without any action items, informational, which do not have action item? Your L1 engineers are gonna get mad looking at all the alerts. If you don't put the right alerting, right priority level, you are making L1 role responsibility. They're gonna miss out on important alerts if you don't have the right alerting setup. Alerting is a very important thing. Don't underestimate it, because if you don't prioritize this, your L1 engineer is gonna miss that. So review those things. Understand the flow, understand the deployment. Talk to DevOps team. What is the process? How things get deployed here? Do you have CI/CD pipeline? Where is the repository? How do you deploy things? How the process works? How many teams we have here? QA team, performance team. Just try to understand, get the high level understanding of the team's flow, how things are working. How do you create infrastructure? Is it manual way or using some tools? So just get understanding of this and get comfortable, because you are going to get issues sometime, and you would be expected to drive things. Understand the POCs, whom to contact in the development team, who are the owners. If you get one issue with one, let's say one module, whom to call? You cannot call the development manager, right? Bring your team members. Yes, you can do that eventually if you don't know, but it's better to find the team member for the respective module who should join the quorum if you have issues. So try to understand the point of contact, whom to reach out for any issues, get things sorted. That's what you should do when you join in the first month.
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Roshan, just quickly on this one, for L1 and L2, let's say, for L1, there is looks like people, SRE engineers who would work only on production, right? Production environment, not on the lower environment.
No. Correct. For production systems.
Okay, and for when it comes to L2, they will also work in lower environments and production.
They can drive things, not work. Their eventual final role is to production only, right? But if they can ask somebody to run performance tests, how things, any issues, so they are gonna be taken care by other team members. This guy responsible to take in production. That's what I would say. L2. It's a full-fledged SRE role. SRE means production.
Okay.
Don't think you'll be asked also to run performance test, right? You are gonna testing one person.
Okay, great.
Okay, so friends, I would like to tell you about the course. I think we have covered enough. You guys have asked. So if you are looking forward for a full-fledged course, friends, I have something for you, which I have curated myself, designed this course. A lot of people here in this quorum has joined, right? I see out of 5-6 people, I can see those have joined. Yes, so this is the course. Those who are getting to know about this link for the first time, go over it. We have covered cloud here. We have covered containers, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, monitoring, SRE concepts, lot of things. Okay, a lot of things. This course is packed with information, I would say. Gonna take you to the very next level in L2. Gonna take you very close to L2. I'm not gonna be sure that telling you that you L2, you become L2 from your experience, from your being hands dirty. But this course is going to give you a kickstart. Gonna catalyst in your journey is what I'm gonna say. Right word is the catalyst. This course will be a catalyst in your journey to on L2. This course has all the details what you require. Now it depends after that what you do with this knowledge, it's up to you, right? So this course is going to be a catalyst because this course talks about cloud. This course talks about containerization, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins. We talk about Terraform. We talk about monitoring tools, Prometheus, Grafana in this course. We talk about Elk, talk about CloudWatch. We talk about Linux also. If you're starting a journey on Linux, we do have Linux part of this course. We do have Java performance engineering as part of this course. Right, so a lot of things. So please go over it and feel free to attend the demo coming Tuesday. I'm going to talk more about the course this Tuesday. So the timing is here. I'm going to send the link anyway to you. But timing is here. The next Tuesday is the demo. This timing. Yeah. So this is the timing of the next Tuesday. Feel free to attend the demo of this course. So I'm going to send you the link here. So that's all, friends, I wanted to cover. Please make a note of this link. Keep it handy with you. Thank you so much, everybody.
So Roshan, this is not like weekend batch, right? This is a regular batch, you mean to say?
Weekdays.
Oh, okay. Oh,
weekend is our batch, right? That we do, right? So it's
right,
going to be
okay, yeah.
over the weekdays.
Got it.
We can find all the timings about the course and everything on this web page.
Yes, timing is here, as you can see here, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. So this course goes for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days in a week.
Okay. And that demo, you're talking about that demo session. What is that regarding?
We will talk about this course, the content.
Oh, about the course. Okay.
We'll talk about the course. Today agenda was the workshop, right? We talked about different things. On that day, I'm going to talk about this course in particular.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead. Course? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So in the course agenda, I haven't looked at it yet. But in the course agenda, do you have anything like for L2? These are the things we covered.
They are L2 only. They are L2 only. They are primarily dedicated designed for L2. Yes.
Okay. Will it say how many hours in total for the
yes,
course? It
is going to be for 40 hours. It's going to be taking approximately 2.5 months to 3 months. The entire test, like because we meet only for 4 to 5 hours, right? In a week. So it's going to take. You can calculate. So let's say if you go for 5 hours in a week. So 4.5 hours actually. 4.5 hours in a week, 40 hours, you can say 10 weeks for sure. So it's going to this course going to take the three months approximately. Yeah, 40 hours.
Okay. And it will have hands-on experience with
real-time everything hands-on. So that's what I'm going to talk about this course. How we go about. You can ask people. Okay, here in this group, a lot of people are there who are joining my weekends courses. Anybody would like to speak up, friends? How do we do things?
Yeah, Uday, this is a very good. We are getting a lot of gain from Roshan is a, I would say, very good knowledge person. He been with this SRE and performance. This helps to us. Like I'm getting a lot of knowledge from. I would say that I'm from USA. Then I'm getting a lot of. No, I know this, and you. I think you are also US. Then you know this how that works. Here we don't get any training, but we are getting a lot of knowledge transfer from the Roshan sir. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Roshan, one last thing. Do you run any fast track course or something like that per day, like 3 hours or something?
What, could you repeat that? You're breaking up.
No, I mean to say, do you have any fast track course rather than
Oh,
1
no,
hour a day?
no. That's how it is. I get this much time. I could spend only this much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All good. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll meet on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Roshan sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
तुला स्वेटर काढायचे आहेत का वरचे?